and this is a spaghetti squash, if you're not sure what they look like. I've just cut it in half, and I took a spoon and scooped out the seeds that were in the inside of it. And now all we're going to do is just drizzle some olive oil, or you could brush it with coconut oil, or you could brush it with lard, whatever it is that you want to use. I'm just using the olive oil. And then I'm using my seasoning blend, which is just garlic, onion powder, salt, and pepper. And you can get the recipe for that in one of my cookbooks, or you can go to my website and I will have it there. And we're just sprinkling it nicely. And then we're going to just flip it over on the cut side down. And I just have parchment paper on there. And now we're going to pop it in the oven, a 375 to 400 degree oven, for about 40 to 45 minutes until it's tender, until you can take a fork and stick it in the back of the skin. Then you'll know it's ready. All right, our spaghetti squash cooked in the oven for about 45 minutes. And as you can see, when you stick a fork in it, it's tender. But then I let it sit on the counter for like 10-15 minutes to kind of cool off so you can handle it a little bit better. It's still going to be hot, so be careful, especially when you pick it up. Let's go flip this one so it can cool. So it's still kind of steamy. All right, if you've never done a spaghetti squash, this is what you do. You take a fork and you start pulling the meat away. And it pulls away into these wonderful shreds that are kind of like spaghetti shreds. Now, I'm not going to tell you that it tastes like spaghetti. It's sweeter than spaghetti. But it is very satisfying when you're not eating grains. And it will kind of take on the flavor of whatever sauce that you put on top of it. So, as you can see, it just kind of shreds away. And we're just going to go ahead and put it on our plate. Smells really good. All right, so there's one half. And now we're doing the other half. Oh, I see a seed that I missed earlier. Let's get that out. So you can kind of see it just kind of tearing away and see these nice little shreds. See? They're like little shreds. It's almost like spaghetti. Thus the name spaghetti squash. All right, now we're going to make some shrimp scampi, and we're going to put it over our spaghetti squash that we cooked just a little bit earlier. So we'll start by lighting our stove. We have about a medium-high heat. And we're going to start with a stick of butter or a half a cup of ghee, whichever you're doing. If you're doing the whole 30, then you would want to use the ghee. And you would want this to be from grass-fed cows, preferably, and organic. We're just going to kind of melt our butter in there. And while that's melting, I'm going to chop up some garlic real quick. And you want 2 to 3 cloves of garlic, depending on the size of your garlic. My daughter loves chopping garlic. She says this is the way she can get her aggressions out. All right. And we're just going to get the skins off real quick. There we go. Well, this one's being a little stubborn. All righty. And we're just going to give it a pretty good chop. go. Shrimp scampi is one of my favorites. In fact, yeah, pretty much anything with shrimp is one of my favorites. The shrimp we're using today was wild caught Gulf Coast. You definitely want to look at, when you're buying shrimp, wild caught. You don't want the farm raised because they use antibiotics and just different things, practices in the farm raised that's you don't want to do that with fish or with shrimp. You want wild caught, and it'd be great if you use the Wild Caught USA, because then you'd be supporting our shrimp fishers, shrimp catchers, shrimpers. All right, so we're going to throw our butter and our garlic in the butter real quick, but we don't want to leave it in there by itself very long because it would burn. So about 30 seconds, and you can start smelling it. Oh, if you could smell this. Does it smell wonderful, Mr. Cameraman? He's shaking his head yes. All right, now we're going to throw our shrimp in there, which these are peeled and deveined. And it literally will only take it just a couple of minutes, and they will start turning pink. I'm also going to throw in a little bit of salt. And the salt that I use, you can kind of see I use real salt, which is the name of it. And as you can see, it's kind of pink, and it still has flecks, minerals and things in it. It's not bleached, doesn't have any extra caking ingredients or anything like that. It's not iodized. So it's just salt. Sea salt is another great thing to use. As you can see, some of the shrimp are already starting to turn pink. Okay, and while the shrimp are finishing, and I'm keeping an eye on them because they can finish really quickly, we're just going to go ahead and squeeze the juice of 2 lemons in. And this is our acid to kind of make sure it gives it a little kick. A lot of times people use white wine, which you could do. You could use a little bit of chicken broth. You could also use some clam juice. There we go. And these are turning really nice and pink now. We don't want to overcook our shrimp because they'll get tough, so we're going to pull them off. And we're just going to pour all this yummy shrimp and scampi juice over the top. And we're about to overflow my plate. All right, so we're just going to sprinkle a little paprika over the top. You could also put chopped parsley over the top. Would be nice. So we have our wonderful shrimp scampi with all those great juices on top of our spaghetti squash. And it looks delicious. You know, you could also do pesto in there. But I didn't even know that you're going to need to do that because this garlicky lemon butter is going to taste so good, you'll be thrilled. So anyway, this might be a way you can get your family to actually try spaghetti squash if you haven't done it before, because who's going to turn shrimp down? Yum.